All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday today. Today is January 28th, and we are in the studio. We're at the Hub 17, and we're in Staten Island, New York. And you're listening to the podcast show, Let Your Voices Be Heard. Now, today is a sensitive topic today. I was supposed to have my guest on today, but unfortunately, she was unable to attend today due to personal reasons. But hopefully, we could catch up with her again, or if she comes on the show through the either Zoom or on our live. So hopefully, she is able to join us either way. But unfortunately, she's not. She won't be here personally. So you guys got me. Um, this is your host, Marcy, with Marcy Photography, and thank you all that is going to be joining us today for this topic. Um, so hold on one second. I think we're getting a notification here. Hopefully, we could still have our guest on. Transcript. Okay. Oh, okay. Kenny looks like she gave you the incorrect email. So, yeah, I'm gonna text it to you. I'm gonna forward that copy. Hold on one second, guys. All right, I sent it to you. All right, we're back. All right, so while we're going through the kinks on that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna continue on with the show. Um, as always, and as usual, would love to send out shout outs to all of the small businesses out there. And, kudos to everyone out there that's doing it. Small businesses, entrepreneurs. If you're starting up your business, if you're planning to do it, do it. This is, the opportunity and the year to start it. So kudos to you, whoever you are out there that wants to go ahead and start your small businesses. Wanted to shout out also all of the wonderful people that I have worked last year, and of course, for the beginning of this year. Shout out to Cynthia Valley. I wanted to give her a great shout out. We had a wonderful first event of the year, which was our Swap It Like It's Hot thrift shop party. Thank you for everyone out there that had donated and came through and supported the community. We had a great response on that. Shout out to NYC Art Cipher for allowing us to have this event there. And we're looking forward to another one, hopefully for April or May. Any new events coming up, of course, we are always posting it on our page and on our website and our social media. So make sure that you join the page so you can stay informed. Um, Also, join us for this spring and summer as well. We have a lot of things lining up. So we want all of the community and everyone involved as well for this year. So shout out to all of you out there. Our guest was supposed to be Wilhelmina Sparrow of Sparrow International. She is an entrepreneur, a womanpreneur, and we had her on the show last year, also on the same topic. She's an advocate also from the topic that we're going to be discussing with that. And there she is. Hi. Hey.
Hi. Can you
Thank
hear
you.
me well?
I can hear you. Yes, I can. Yes.
Thank
I
you for
am
having me.
Oh, thank you, at least to have you on the screen with us. Definitely.
Mhm.
But next time, definitely we'll get together in person. But this is great, and I appreciate you coming on board with this topic, which was I was about to introduce. And it is a sensitive topic for a lot of people. Some people are not really too much aware of the topic, but it is about human trafficking. It's about child trafficking. It also has to do with immigration. And it has to
Yes.
do a lot what's been happening here in this country for the last 2 years. A lot has changed. I always say, no matter what your political view is, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or whatever it is, you just cannot deny of the changes drastically that has been happening here in America. And,
Mm.
we could talk about, you know, what people, foresee these things, whether it's helping, um, you know, the immigrants or not helping. I personally say like this, let's just go into it as we're already speaking up on it. But I did introduce you, Wilhelmina Sparrow from Sparrow International. We just wanted to let people know, like, what is your entrepreneurship and what is it that your advocacy for the human trafficking.
Yes.
So,
Hi. Well, thank you for having me. Um,
yes,
we the brand is called Sparrow International. It's a LLC. It's a for-profit. And what we do is we're a public relations firm that focuses on uniting police and community using performance art as a form of political activism. And we use music, all forms of art, entertainment, art, and everything to drive awareness and attention to not just human trafficking and the issue about it, but legislation changes, solutions, policy changes, and how we can also help as a community. To the uniting factor that I'm working on with the communities, educating them on how we can know what jurisdiction is covered under what I call systemic trafficking, so that we can report to the appropriate parties to address this issue, because there's a process, a grooming process, and I call that systemic trafficking, which is weaponizing the systemic tools such as uh, child protective services, child
right.
support, alimony, judicial system, including like felonies, and even the civil court systems and housing, medical system, mental health, uh, even your medical health, to target and isolate individuals for human trafficking and of all forms, forced labor work, sex work, or organ trafficking, body parts, and illegal experiments as well, and
Yes,
immigration.
definitely. Like I said, these are things that are very sensitive to a lot of people. Um, and we need to address these things because it's really happening at a rapid pace.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful. We have to be vigilant, especially moms with children. You see these type of things in the mainstream media, how these things are happening also, just in bare daylight, and it's basically is a really big issue. We have to learn how to fend for ourselves. We have to learn what the signs are out there. We have to know, there's a lot of young moms too out there that I see, because maybe because it's just my grandmotherly instincts, and I see like, oh, don't do that. Watch your children, young moms just walking in their children, just like little ducklings, following the mom. And, I seen things happening, just getting snatched up, and, so much of that is going on. But, yes, trafficking has been on the rise. I think just over a little over a million last year. There's so many cases throughout the states and internationally as well. Across Central America, Mexico, when you talk about these things, they're like, oh, it's just, forbidden. But we have to bring awareness to these type of things, to our neighborhood and to our community, So definitely, um, I always say that, I believe that trafficking is like the new modern day slavery.
Yeah.
Definitely it is. I mean, it's been happening for centuries, right? I think
Mhm.
since the beginning of time, from the slave trades to, the Egyptians having, the Hebrews, 400 years enslaved, and trafficked and sex trade. These things, if you look into your history, it's always been there. We're just living in it in a modern day age, and
Mhm.
now there's more of the technology. There's now more of, the capabilities, and for them to even bring it in more, right? Because back
Yes.
in the days, they would the conquistadors would come in and snatch you up and just throw you on a boat and take you off to another place. Now
Well,
it's just
it's not much different. It's
exactly.
they're in white vans now. and
Exactly. They were in white
and
vans.
styrofoam. What's that, chloroform cloths
Yeah.
and stuff.
They're just
And now it's in the form of like you're a crazy woman or a crazy man or you're ghetto and all like. I see we're at a point with our society with technology. It's just that you're right. It's something that's we've been doing, and I think like what happened is if we were like a beginning at in the beginning, if you look at history and the way things are, we was at the beginning of our civilizations each time and transforming. So now that we've technologically advanced, we became aware of something that no longer we could hide behind communities, gossip, and hearsay, which is always the biggest problem that feeds human trafficking. A
yeah.
lot of people don't realize how in the United States, United Nations website, 30% that were prosecuted were women. And
Yeah.
women use and weaponize gossip, and guys don't want to hear it. And that piece of information is so important.
It
And
is.
and when uh, our need for peace, even there's been so much divide within us with racism, colorism,
Hmm.
ageism, name it, all the isms,
Right.
sexual orientation. So we're so busy fighting over moral standpoints about what we feel we should all be as a whole collectively, instead of just focusing on the fact that freedom is not a social class status.
Right.
It's a human right, and our political system needs to be transformed into that too.
Hmm.
Politics is necessary. It's something we
Yeah.
do every day in our life. We play politics amongst each other, and we even do it behind amongst each other. We do it behind closed doors when we hash out our issues and work it out, and then what we present to the world is what we present to the world is the results.
Right.
So patronizing our leaders over that too is another diversion, instead of understanding, well, how can we help contribute, how can our
Right.
leaders be a reflection of who we are and our
Right.
values. And first that starts with us healing that damage and those rifts, and that's
Yeah.
what we focus on here in Sparrow International. It's like, how do we focus on this? Let's talk about this, the
Hmm.
offensive stuff. Let's no longer be politically correct, but let's
Hmm.
be who we are, because you know what, my perspective is different than the next perspective, but we're all dodging a common enemy. And our
Exactly.
families are, we're all being threatened by this common enemy. Because in forced sex work, there's a fetish for everything.
Yeah.
Then
Yes.
you, so we're sitting here hating each other, like, oh, bitch, you look like this, or excuse me, am I allowed to say
Go
that?
ahead, girl.
Okay, good.
It's allowed.
So
Go
we're
ahead.
like, yeah, we're like, oh, that heifer looks like this girl looks like that, or she's like this. Oh my God. And we use the gossip, but the gossip is what alienates each other.
Yeah.
And then our perspective of each other, because my goal with America, my beautiful white brothers and sisters, you was marching with us during Black Lives Matter. Thank you. Let's do it now. Accept the backwards cousins of America, the African
Yeah.
Americans, and the culture that came out of it. And I love it. I love the language. I love Ebonics. I love talk. I love hip hop. I love everything about it because it's
Right.
such a beautiful culture that was born as a result of oppression. So we
Yeah.
created this culture. We created music and a whole new genre of people.
It
America,
is.
let's be proud of what we created, and then let's nurture it and accept that, so that we can
Definitely.
heal these damages, because that's what it is. Like when we was marching for Black lives, we didn't understand, well, what was it that was causing all this. I'm not I'm tired of attacking my cops and my NYPD and my boys in blue and saying
That's right.
generalizing the infiltrators
Right. Right.
that
Right.
came in with the purpose to exploit our communities, because they weaponized our prejudices against each other. And now that's what you're seeing. Everything's coming to light. And we're just
Yeah.
trying to, and politics is interfering with us being politically correct, is interfering with us being able to resolve this issue. And we're throwing each other to the bus.
Well,
Hmm.
politics is politics, man, right? Because it's a dirty game.
It
And
is.
definitely you got some good players and you got some bad players. We could I could sit here and talk about all day about the government, but I don't want nobody knocking on my door because that's where I feel that, anything mentioned negatively, towards that genre of people, you get shut down nowadays. You can't even post or comment or anything negatively on the social media platforms when it was not like this 5 years ago. We still had the rights of freedom of speech. We still had
Hmm.
the rights of expressing what we feel, what we see, whether you was right or wrong. You still had that capability of doing that. You understand? So now I feel like because so much has been infiltrated on the narrative of negative speech, hate speech, all of this type of thing. It's just like we're just being chopped down to the wood. And now we can only say nice things. So I feel like we're being watched and schooled and taken away from that platform in there. So what's going to be left? We're not going to be able to say or do anything that we have the freedom to do. So it is our god-given right.
Yeah.
Listen, let me tell you something. If people don't know, they're going to know. My parents, they were immigrants. They came from Cuba. Okay.
Mm.
um, I was born and raised here, and I've they have told me so many different stories. When the Castro regime started to come and taking over, they had a battle. They took out that government. They took over the country, and they saying that America is bad, and that anything you negatively you would say, you would have a knock on your door. Let me tell you, my grandmother, she had a farm in her backyard. She grew her own foods, and when that regime started to come around, they told her she couldn't have it. They wanted to take that away. My mother, God bless her soul, every single day at 4 in the morning, she would take that bus, and it was a 2 hour ride to the American embassy just to be on that line to make sure that her and my sister had a place where they can leave the country and come to
Mm.
America, because she already knew what was coming. They already was knocking on my grandmother's door. They already
Mm.
was threatening my uncles and my aunts, because we would not succumb to their rules and regulations, or, they would not, comply, because
Yeah.
you're taking away that right of them to live. So from the stories that my mother has told me, my father has told me, you know, I recognize communism. I recognize socialism. I see where that's going, and so many other stories I can tell you about, from my own family and my own experiences, from their experiences telling me about it, and I feel like a lot of these things now are being, shut down and cutting down on that,
Yeah,
So,
I experienced like a form of a communistic approach towards an attack towards my mental health this week.
yeah,
So, the when I'm and on a positive end, when we come across individuals who are exploiting people and if they're infiltrators, because I say this all the time, a lot of people don't realize America is hated by outside foreigners because the misrepresentation of our people here in America was traffickers, and they infiltrated in as diplomats and infiltrated as uh, what is it called, political representatives, and our police force, our federal system. So what happened is they took, due to those infiltrations, when they have total immunity in other countries and everything, they abused that and
yeah,
then misrepresented our country and what we represented as a family oriented a country where families are supposed to come here and thrive.
right.
So that was, so we have to address like a lot of the damages, and part of doing that is here making the example here in our country, because if we don't come from a humanitarian approach instead of your views wrong and my views right. But America, we have to forgive Trump too for the things he says. Because if we attack him for that shit, we are we are oppressing ourselves. you
That's
know?
and I'm glad that you brought that up, Wilhelmina, because however you feel about Trump, whether you hate
Uh-huh.
him or you like him or you love him or anything in that perspective, that's your own personal opinion. But I feel that basically, look what's happening to him. Look what has happened to him. The Democrats' insurrection, January 6th,
Hmm.
trying to take away his properties, trying to saying that he made tax frauds, all of this attack against him. And everybody's
Yes,
like, yeah, good for him. He deserves that, blah, 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 and all that stuff. But not realizing that if they do it to him, they're going to do it to us. Okay?
exactly. And the January 6th, I saw a documentary about it recently,
Yeah.
and one I'm definitely going to send you a link to it. Have one of my team members send you the link to it, and it was about how they were just trying to protest something, and then how it was escalated
Yeah.
by certain police members, and
Hmm.
then there were people who infiltrated the movement and were encouraging and purposely breaking stuff to make them look like they were the ones
Yes.
being the aggressors at this, and then
Yes.
they got targeted for their support for Trump.
Yeah.
And they don't get it. They're looking for empathy, but I'm sorry, white brothers and sisters, this is what you got to understand what the Democrats are seeing. This is a bunch of black people. It's been done to us so many times. They're like, "Ha ha, bitch."
Yeah.
That's what they're like. You don't like
Exactly.
it, huh?
Yeah, but and
And
and and that's why when it happens in that formation, right? Because um it's just nobody wins, man. Nobody wins like
no,
that. We have to find and form a way to really find the focal point, of
yeah.
how this is all going to wind up affecting all of us,
And
at the
now
end
we're
of the
all
day.
being trafficked.
Exactly.
Oh,
So much of them. Let me tell you, I over the holidays, I saw that movie, The Sound of Freedom, and I don't know if anybody has watched that movie, but
hmm.
that
Okay,
movie
yeah,
was very controversial. There was a lot of issues trying to put that movie out. A lot of the main media companies were against it, because I was reading a lot of articles on that, and I was like, they didn't want to have that movie out. Well, why is that? Because this is what's really happening now, right? So when you
yes.
watch that movie, and I encourage everyone to watch that movie because it really speaks volumes on what's been happening here, and where all of this is aspiring from, and how, has to do a lot with the immigration system as well. Because everybody's like, oh, they're asylum seekers. They want to get out of Central America. They're, like Guatemala and Ecuador and Nicaragua and all of these places. It's so horrible. I see there's a lot of Venezuelans that are coming across the border as well. I mean, I come across them when I go into the city. It's ridiculous. It's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
This is where a lot of this is stemming from, and it's coming into it's been in the United States. I think everybody should really take that time and really watch that movie, Sound of Freedom. It'll put a different perspective because it is not a fictional. It is a documentary. Did I say that right? Documentary. Oh my God, my language. You know what? Yeah.
Docu-series.
Yes. Sometimes my language slips, but yes, it is a true life story, and people should really, really see and look into of that more. So
Yeah.
definitely on that. Um, January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. This is why I always try to bring this to awareness. Like I said, I'm a mother and a grandmother, and I, always worry about my family members, my children, my grandchildren. Not that I'm living my life in paranoia, but I do live it vigilantly. Like I'm vigilant to where my surroundings are, who I am
Yeah.
with, where I go. And I'm always telling my family members, please watch your surroundings. You know, especially
Well, a lot,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, a lot of people in especially because we came from the same area, and
Hmm.
the area we came from is where Eric Garner was killed. And a lot
Yeah,
of people don't realize that area, the reason why he was killed was to silence him because he was helping because that all those buildings over there is
yeah,
brothels,
yeah,
and they're open about it. And the cops sit out there and guard it like it's a fucking
yeah, yeah. They guard it, and
they
then you
guard
see
it because that's their money. It's our
that's their
piece money,
money. It is, and
not
and
those
and
cops,
who's
the
paying for
infiltrators.
that? Taxpayers. Taxpayers are paying for that.
Well,
Okay.
it's this is where the problem is. Like we're folk the money's there. The funding's there. We get it
Right.
all the time. These crises come up, we rebudget, but the problem is we're being depleted of our resources, especially in the city, because we are not we're not investing in doing economic growth and development when we deal with addressing assisting individuals in need as well. So where we put so we're the ones who are keeping them oppressed through our system, what we're doing with the housing
Yeah.
and child protective services and everything, and then we're keeping them oppressed, and then that's where they get plucked up, and then they
Yeah.
get trafficked from that point
Right.
on.
Yeah.
So why aren't we, if you want to end human trafficking, why aren't we investing in the individuals to be self-sufficient? We don't have to kick them out. Yeah, a lot of, like you said, your family was living off the land that they were living at
Building.
in Cuba,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they were forced to come here. So now you have farmers, you have people. We have uh I have a partner on my team that he focuses on agribusiness and aquaponics and doing develop he increased the 70% increase in Africa in one of the targeted areas he was working with to produce their own food, so they didn't have to
Right.
rely on export and
Right.
import, which was what was causing them to starve because the militia was attacking their exported and imported foods, so their
Right.
products weren't able to get out, and then their products weren't able to get in.
Right.
So, and then the money's being taken, people are getting paid.
Hmm.
And so this is happening. And then that's even getting funneled or cleaned out. You have individuals, coming in under the guise of pastors and ministers. And the mayor's faith department, advisor department, it's a really good department. It's a really good concept. But we have to have a checks and balance on those who use. My situation was a pastor
Right. Yeah.
who groomed
Yeah.
my stepdaughter. So, we have to hold these pastors accountable. These people,
Yes.
they know how to get into our homes by through our needs. So why don't we have stronger vetting systems like lie detector tests in place to make sure that people aren't exploiting us? If we're getting the money for this, or are we just created a faith advisor department because there's a ton of money you could tap into for federal funding when it comes to
Right.
churches. We all know
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
And they always, so how many churches get the money, don't really give out the good food. They keep the food or take it home and
Exactly.
everything.
Well,
So
let me
this is,
tell you about that
I'm sorry.
because I do come from a Christian background, and not all churches are godly. Not all churches are good. No, they're
No,
not. No matter what religion you are, whether you're a Protestant or Catholic, or whatever it is that you consider yourself to be. I always say that Jesus is not a religion. He hated religion, and he
he turned
knew.
over the tables.
Yes, definitely. And
Like,
people, they got to go back into the Bible to read that and remember who Jesus was. You understand what I'm saying? And oh, go ahead. And he hated religion, and because he knew that religion was man-made. It was created, basically to have a control over the people. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not God, but I could only tell you what the Bible tells me. So don't
yeah,
kill the messenger.
it was his own synagogue rabbis who threw him to the Romans. We all know the story.
We all
So
know the story. Yes,
we all
definitely.
know the story. And I tell people when they try to come at, when they try to throw that, I'll pray for you. I was like, don't pray. You're praying to the Antichrist. You ain't praying because Jesus Christ reflects love, and he was a rebel. He didn't
Yeah,
take that. And and
yeah,
and but what we do to the people who stand up for us today, we're no better. And
yeah,
and a lot of these activists put their lives on their line to make aware. Look at what happened to Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X,
yeah.
JFK. They were trying to free the people, and then they got killed. And then, but that's not for us to be afraid. And I get
Right.
it. America was traumatized when they saw
Hmm.
George Floyd get killed. That
Yeah.
traumatized America, and I see it because I don't have television in my house. I have Netflix and my favorite shows I binge, but I don't put the news on. It's not on constantly, but I do keep up to date. I read and stuff. At the same time, I see what they're seeing. They're showing the bombings. They're
Yeah.
showing us
Yeah.
what's happening, and people are terrified.
Yeah.
When I saw
Yeah.
that, I felt it. And I
Right.
don't watch this stuff every day. So people are being bombarded by the news, but not the truth. They're
Right.
showing the results. The look at what will happen if you stand up. But
Right.
why? Why are they? What are they standing up for? Why are these
There.
people? Why did people feel like they needed to weaponize the Palestinians' need for freedom
Mm.
to exploit other individuals? Why do you think that's happening right now? You
I
know,
believe
the
I believe there's an agenda. I definitely
yes,
believe there's an agenda. There's a
trafficking.
plan, and that has to do a lot with it too, of course, because how
We
how
see it.
how 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 else they're gonna be able to get their agenda across, right? But it's unfortunate that is happening. But I feel that definitely there's a plan, there's an agenda, and listen, if people think that a lot of these things are just hearsay and conspiracy theories, I really truly suggest for people to look up Klaus Schwab, okay, from the World Economic Forum. He's telling you what he's planning to do. This is not a joke.
Yeah,
People need to really look into and listen. Listen to the words that these people are telling us. Okay, it is not a joke. And they are telling us that you will owe nothing and be happy. This is the words of Klaus Schwab. And also, his other little rhetoric saying is basically, you know, um, there's a lot of things that he says, but we have to listen in between the words, okay, of what he's saying and the other people that are on that platform, and this is not something that we're just, pulling out of the air. The people, there's a lot of different types of platforms that we could do our own research and really look into what's really happening here. 2030 is an agenda. People don't understand or even know about 2030. It is an agenda. A lot of
Yes.
these things that are happening now with the war in Ukraine and now with the war in Israel. These are two wars that the United States are funding. Billions of dollars were sent over to these countries. People want ceasefire on, Palestinians are crying. The Zionists and the Kabbalists are the ones that are running this war. I'm going to say it. I'm not, I really truly sometimes feel like, I don't say things enough. I don't say things enough because I worry about, what the repercussions would be, right? Because, like I
Yes.
said earlier before, if you say something negatively, they want to come and shut you down. But we are 2024 right now. What is going on in this year? The elections, okay?
Yes.
The elections are happening. There's a lot of shit that happens when there's an election year, and it's a lot of things that are being politicized, and a lot of
Yeah, but
things that are
people are
being,
getting tired of that, and it's getting
yeah,
scary because of what some people are willing to do to be heard.
yeah, yeah,
And that's what they're twisting on activists too. Like, if you're passionate about something, you're a possible terrorist.
yeah,
When the real terrorism is calling ACS on me and my children because you don't like how I look.
yeah,
Or the real terrorism is, you know, to, to hiring my neighbor to drive me out of my home so that this way I don't feel safe while I invest in the home. Oh, Scott Lebedo, this is
ah.
for you, my brother. So I love this man, even though he hurt my
I
feelings
was
because
gonna bring that up. I'm sorry. I was gonna bring that up because I saw that you did have some interaction, and when I saw that, I'm like Scott Beto and Wilhelmina Sparrow. Like, oh my God, that's insane! What is going on here? But I saw it, and I was so like, I couldn't believe it. But yes,
we
go ahead and
inspiring each other,
tell us.
but he sells hate. I don't want the hate. I listen, the immigrants aren't the problem, it's how we are addressing it is the problem. And then the truth
Yes.
is, on the other side, I'm sorry, I love my Caucasian brothers and sisters, but y'all don't like it when we come in your neighborhood and then you use that shit to say get the fuck out.
Oh my God.
So that was where we clashed. But I
Okay.
agree with him on a lot of things where he's saying when it comes to these acts of terrorism and how we need to wake up. But you
Yeah.
are selling hate. You got to let go of your hate because people have a right to hate America for what we did to their children.
Hmm.
They do.
Yeah.
We have done so much terrorizing when we go and set up bases and there's good men and women. Why do you think veterans come home fucked up?
Yeah. Yeah.
My patriot, my fellow patriot, and I'm speaking to you, brother. If
Yeah.
you, and yes, I'm going to call you brother since you want to call us black folks. So, you white folks, listen.
Oh,
So, so what happened is, this is what happened. It was
yes.
a
Tell
lot
us.
of good men and women that went overseas to serve and protect,
Yes.
but there were also infiltrators in the US military as well. And they
Right.
went overseas and then they fucked those kids and they fucked their women and then held them at gunpoint. And then those good men and women were forced to be shut the fuck up and witness some horrifying shit, or else they
Yeah.
would commit acts of treason
Yeah.
against their
Yeah.
own.
I know.
So you want to
I
help serve the protect our mental health because we were fucked up seeing that shit. And then over here, for all y'all who want to patronize me on how long I serve, I'm still fucking serving, even though they sent my ass home early. I'm still out here serving. I was fighting these streets out here serving and protecting the rights that you were out there dying and being tricked to be died for and everything that they over here obliterated. So, we're
well,
all
we
sitting here.
appreciate your service, Wilhelmina. We appreciate your
Thank
service on
you.
that,
I get
and also,
patronized sometimes from the misogynistic bastards. But my good brothers and sisters out
yes,
there who are really fighting and the good fight, and this is what the real reason, ladies and gentlemen, America, white America, the good ones, we won't fucking go that far.
yeah,
And that's why shit is so
yeah,
crazy because you guys politically tied our hands with policies and how we address things instead of really changing the fucking stupid laws that they were
right,
forced to enforce.
yes. You know, and that's a lot of controversy on that as well, you know, with that. And, you know, some people just refuse to, you know, accept or believe or any of it, you know what I mean? And that's
Hmm.
why listen, my son, he served in the military. He was honorably discharged. And, you know, he did 2 tours in Afghanistan, you know, out
Oh
there.
wow.
And, you know, when he came back from the second one, you know, he goes, "Ma, I don't even think I want to go back," you know, because there was so much things that he saw happening out there, and it really, really messed him up a little bit in the head, you know. But you know,
Yeah.
through the power of prayer and you know, me being his mom and you know, always watching out for him and making sure that he's mentally okay. You know, thank God, you know, my
Yeah.
son is a strong guy, you know, mentally, and you know, but he went through some stuff, you know, and he told me
Yeah.
about
And
it,
then
you know.
we turn around and what I'm against with the patriots that I've met under, not the ones that I met, a lot of good ones, but I'm talking about the ones that support the hate.
Mm,
We sit here and we justify like these rapes and these pillaging and these issues because
yeah,
they're the enemy.
yeah,
And that's what we're doing here. And then these veterans are being bullied, and then you guys hide behind bullying toughens us up. No, it doesn't. It breaks your mind
right,
down. It makes you fucking
yeah, it
crazy.
does,
And
it
then
does,
if you're a trained killer, well, we see the results of bullying, like in Michigan, that gentleman
yeah,
who killed everybody, and then the poor man, because he realized he fucked up, he killed
yeah,
himself. He
yeah,
didn't want to do that, but I bet you everybody he fucking shot at was
mm,
bullying him. And
yeah,
we don't want to address how we treat each other. And then we got the audacity to tell our leaders to behave a certain way when we don't even behave that way. We're savages to each other. It's mental health, and to the very men and women that we serve, we say we respect and honor and serve and protect. Meanwhile, our mental health is a weapon. They
exactly,
experiment on
right.
how to fuck us up so they could fuck the rest of you up. And that's
Yeah,
what they do.
yeah, that's what it is. Well, you know, let me tell you, I mean, military is hired by the government, right? But the government is a corporation, you know, and, you know, this is what a lot of people don't understand that, you know, we were sold out a long time ago in the 1930s. And
Hmm.
basically, you know, we would say, hey, listen, you know, America got into a huge debt, right? And they were like, okay, so how are you going to be able to pay this debt back? So, you know what? The creation of the Social Security number came in, the creation of birth certificates came in, and we use as collateral, as
Yeah.
taxpayers. You know what I mean? So a lot of people don't know the history on that as well. But, you know, it's a
But we
corporation.
can use these tools. They could be good tools too. It's
They
like
can
social
be.
security numbers can track who's who, right? And I like the new, as a mother, I went to go get my kids' social security cards, and they changed it, made it very hard for me to get it. I was frustrated, but they said this is because of child trafficking. At the same time, I get that,
Yeah.
but what do you think that is driving the kids further into trafficking, by making it difficult for them to have their social security cards, or at least tracking them through their social security cards? So
Yeah,
it,
it
it's
could be
it's
a give
it's
or take situation. Definitely, it can be, you know.
yeah.
So,
And
but I want to go ahead. I'm sorry, Wilhelmina, but we
go
have a
ahead.
little bit of time. I just wanted to go ahead and basically bring up other
Sorry.
topics on that. No, no, you're fine. You're good. I'm glad that at least I'm able to see you through the TV. So,
Yeah. They try to threatening to jump your girl for fighting a good fight and everything, but and they're using kids, so I can't hit back.
oh, that I know. Listen, if you got a little cousin or something that just send them
She
over
did
and
what
kick their
she did.
ass.
It was cute. She did a little ha thing to my nose and everything.
Oh,
I'm like, okay, but you know what? My people, stand up. Go ahead.
oh,
When I get out of
yes.
here, just make sure you use that against your oppressors and everything. That's all I ask of you. Make the fight and your knowledge of fighting. You want to tear me down? You united to tear me down. You know what I see when I see people do that? I don't
Mm,
see enemies. I don't see uh monsters or savages, even though we tend to act savagery. But I
yeah,
see people with potential.
right.
Look at how well organized and systematic they are in coming together to tear a person down. So if we heal their minds and give
Yeah,
them the opportunities that they truly weren't presented, because this is life for them,
Right.
We threw people into this lifestyle, and then we expect them to behave a certain way.
Right.
And then, this is a potential of a community that could grow and build something beautiful
Yes,
too.
yes, definitely. And that's what I'm really all about, no matter what, however whoever, how they feel, whether, their political views, their religion views. I think those two topics are always very controversial when with anybody, because it's
Mhm.
such a strong belief, and when you go contrary to that person's belief, they're going to look at you like you're the enemy, right? Because they're
Yeah.
going to be like, "Oh, you're not with us,
Well,
so you're against us." But it's
that
not
and
like that.
it's like the also is like, oh, you're making me look bad because I submitted.
Right, right, right. And that you got off you got off that platform, and then just like you're going to go against them, and it's not like that. I say
I'm
that
helping.
if people were to treat each other with respect and to listen to one another instead of going at each other and calling each other names. I mean, come on, that's junior high school stuff. As adults, we should be able to communicate and listen and learn something, because maybe you know something that I don't, and I know something that you don't. And it's always should be an open platform, an open conversation about anything,
Yeah.
like the topic that we're talking about right now. Like I said, it could be an uncomfortable conversation with somebody else, but if you're listen, if you're willing to listen, maybe there's something that it would trigger you, or it could be something even personal, and
Yes.
it could bring you into that topic. Now, I mean, we've been dealing with this trafficking thing for a long time. Um, let's bring in with another controversial name, which has been in the news, with Jeffrey Epstein.
Hmm.
He's been on the news, but very, I want to say, when it's brung up in the mainstream media, it's very brief. It's only maybe like a 2-minute reporting on it, and then that it goes off, and then people just go about and try to do their own research. But this man has been on scene for a very long time, along with his partner, Maxwell, and
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein, and so many of these, celebrity, quote unquote, people, that have been in the back scenes, and, they're billionaires, and how they all have this system underground, and creating all of this trafficking that's been going on. I mean, people is like, oh, that's not true, or, let's see that list, that name list.
Well,
uh,
so the
uh,
list, it
yeah,
was addressed.
God.
There's something in trafficking that they do, and it's called name dropping.
Hmm.
So what they do is when they want to pick up a targeted individual for sex work, they will say, "Oh, I know this celebrity, I know that celebrity, and that I done work with this." And then it's not hard to get into an event
Right,
where celebrities will have an appearance, and you take pictures. And
right.
then you present to and because this is how I was tricked. I was tricked like this at 24 years old. I was tricked
Mm,
by this way. And then they have pictures of themselves with the celebrity, so you believe these people really have access, and
right,
you're really
right,
going with them. And then
right.
they once you agree to go with them,
Hmm.
that's and this is how that happened to me. Once you agree to go with them, they trap you, and then they surround you with their goons, and you there's no escaping. And then they got the community in on it.
Yeah,
It's a whole
yeah,
community. So
yeah.
yeah, you have the power players like Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell who enforce it to the on a billionaire aspect, but they was also exploiting those billionaires as well. So
Right.
we don't realize how bad it really is, because everyone's held at gunpoint by the same people who hold
Mm,
us at gunpoint, and they're
right.
holding the billionaires at gunpoint. That's why
Hmm.
you see all those during the fentanyl crisis, because the
Yeah.
fentanyl crisis is to address the cocaine's is a rich person's drug.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a poor man's drug. So
Yep.
to target the rich people that will help the communities, invest in the communities, and invest it in the movements, they targeted them through the fentanyl crisis.
Right.
So
Definitely.
that's what happened. So we have to understand what we're seeing.
Right.
We're hearing about these body parts in freezers.
Hmm.
So this all feeds into that concept. And then Jeffrey Epstein, you know, another thing that was overlooked also about Jeffrey Epstein's case was they said they don't go after white women. They try to make it a racial thing, right? Go after
Uh-huh.
white women, but don't
Right.
go after the ethnic communities unless it's the exotic types. So their mixed babies are
Yeah.
targeted for human
Yeah.
trafficking in our communities. And
Hmm.
then thanks to colorism, and then the fact that, you know, not everybody agrees with the mixing of the races, you
Right.
know, they contribute to driving these babies into trafficking. And
Yeah.
so, and it's really, as it is
It's
above as it is below. Hmm.
it's really sad that that we're seeing this, and it's like it's just playing right in front of our eyes, and
Yeah.
definitely, I mean, there's just so much more to this trafficking situation on there. So I wanted to also bring up last week, I believe I saw in the news, there was a sex worker that was arrested, and she admitted to the fact that she was being trafficked. And I think it was a ring of traffickers that were caught. I believe so. I want to say Queens area. I'm not too
Mm.
sure on there, but you're seeing much more of these busts happening uh, with the fentanyls, with the drugs, also with the abuse of children,
Yes.
and how these children are being just kidnapped and taken and trafficked. It's crazy the amount that has increased over the last 5 years on this. I really want to say,
Mm.
you know, but also I wanted to bring up the situation, like how is it that for a single woman, going into a parking lot, because I worry. I have nieces, I have a daughter. I always say, please, always look around, be careful. There's been signs out in the social media platform where, if they tag your car, or how are you know that you're being targeted, or how are you know that you're being watched. Because this is a real thing. It's not something that we're just putting out there, just for fun. This is something that's
Yeah.
really been happening here. So I wanted to, so like, how can you protect yourself? How can you be more vigilant, and how you can report this, and who do you report this besides the cops? Like,
Yeah.
what can you do with that?
Well, we created what you call the Be Your Own Hero campaign, and this campaign is to encourage victims to report on their circumstances. And one of the things is understanding that uh, traffickers, they target you at your most vulnerable.
Right,
So when you're they watch your movements, your routines. So the best thing to do is to know two things. Be aware of systemic trafficking, which is how are they targeting you through your vulnerability, through your housing, your mental health, your medical stuff, because then you could see how the individuals who are gang stalking you
right.
using that information against you. So
Mm-hmm.
know your vulnerability. I think that's very important. Identify your vulnerability, because if you don't, they will.
Right,
And that's how they get in. The second thing is be vigilant about watching your surroundings. Ladies,
right.
there's a thing that we have a weapon. They think we're superficial and we give a shit about only how we look. so,
I know you've been
so
campaigning on that too. I see.
yeah, I say since my sex sells, fuck equal pay, pay me more, bitch. But so what happened is so what happened is your phone could be your weapon. A lot of times they say, look up, look around you. That's true. Be
Right,
aware. But we
right,
could also look like, you know, people think we're dizzy and we're not paying attention. And that's when we're watching, right? Your
right, right,
phone, if you feel you're being followed, act like you're taking a selfie, but really you're taking a picture of the person.
right. Okay, okay,
So
that's
there's
good.
things, you know, take pictures of your surroundings. Look
Yes.
inside the pictures. Look at people who are maybe popping up, that are commonly popping up. Look, notice associations when they're following people that might be, you have trouble with, beef with, or any into
Yeah.
negative interactions. Because what they'll do is they'll try to isolate you by creating drama around you. Because our poor men, that's why we're gonna grab them by the pussy. They said grab them by Trump said grab us by the pussy. Listen, ladies, instead of getting mad at him for that shit, let's just respond
Grab.
back. I
Yeah.
want to grab him by the balls and squeeze,
Yes,
and
that's
such
right.
change is made. So
That's
what
right.
you do is you make yourself aware of the fact that these men, they can't take the drama.
Right.
That's what they weaponize against the men. So the
Right.
men are like, oh my god, this is too much drama, and they create drama around us. So
Mhm.
gentlemen, that's how you know if someone's a target. If a girl's constantly labeled as drama, she's most likely targeted for trafficking.
Yeah.
So it's these things, but very importantly is being aware of your surroundings. When you frequent places, be aware who's watching you, be aware who's
Right.
constantly posted outside in the corners or
Right.
outside stores,
Yeah.
um, in on vehicles that don't stand out,
Right.
or vehicles with tinted windows.
Right.
Out here in Staten Island, it's been a common vehicle. A lot of victims have been saying that they've been stalked by this red vehicle with New Jersey plates and tinted windows. I've seen
Wow.
it. I just don't remember the model of the car, but I've seen it. They and other victims have claimed to have seen this vehicle. So
Right.
at the ferry terminal a lot. So that know these areas out here in Staten Island. There's one way off the island, pretty much.
Right.
So a lot of these people are posted outside in these areas. Plus, they also target our addicts to like
Yeah.
their addictions to give them information about us, and they too are victims. So I don't see nobody as really as an enemy. I see them more as all victims just trying to survive the situation, and then they're united in their effort to survive by
Right.
giving the information so that they don't die. That's all.
Right.
Hmm.
Definitely. And I agree.
I don't know if I
Um,
answered the question.
you did. You did. Because we need to be more vigilant because we're living in a world that is not safe anymore.
Hmm.
A lot of things are happening, especially in our area, and also in New York City, New York State, everywhere that you're basically going. Even the safest and quietest neighborhood, there's always some type of ruckus that's gonna be
Yes.
happening. Don't think that because you live in a nice little neighborhood, quiet, that shit won't pop off. So it
No,
could
actually,
just.
they weaponize the quietness of the neighborhood more so.
Exactly. Thank you. I'd rather have some noise and some, ruckus going on, and so I could know, what's who and where and what is happening.
Yeah.
When it's too quiet, it's I can't even sleep. It's just
Yeah.
like I need some noise. Who's out there? Hark, who's out there?
Yeah.
So it is what it is at this
And
point.
we got some workshops going so that we can show people who to report parties, like if you're dealing with housing issues, who to report for the mayor's office and in regards to that, who to report in Department of Homeland Security when you know it's definitely trafficking. How do you tie the pieces together? And that's what we do. We teach people how to do that so that they can know how to know when they're being vulnerable and targeted. Hmm.
Well, definitely, I'm gonna have that your link up and for people to know how to get in contact with you because you just don't know who would be watching.
Yeah.
Um, Controversial question: what do you think? How do you think the Mayor Adams is handling all of the situation with all this immigration happening and coming into the country?
I think they're putting him between a rock and a hard place with that, because politically, he still has to fight the individuals who are making a bad situation. I also think he's more for the Caribbean community than he is for the African American community.
Mm,
So, as a Caribbean American, and I think that we should be more humanized towards each other. And
mm-hmm.
the immigrants are definitely needed help. They're being trafficked at the moment. So it it's like I don't. I've tried to talk with him, but I can't say he's the problem. It's the people surrounding him that let me access to him is the biggest problem I've
Yeah,
had the issue with. So
yeah,
I can't say he's the problem. But I
Right.
feel like there's a lot of people, when you're a politician, you're a leader, you have people, and I've had this happen to my company. I mean, you've experienced it with me.
Right. Yes.
People infiltrate to purposely sabotage what you're doing too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I don't know where the problem's coming from, because his his constituents that allow me access to him, they'll meet with me, take the ideas, use it, but they won't allow me to meet with him directly.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like trying to get through the gates of heaven, huh? So
Yeah.
try to
And
see,
then and
you know,
then the Pastor Monroe's, I've been bringing this issue to him for a very long time. He has a couple of individuals that took over the God Squad that I feel that are doing some nefarious activities under the God Squad, because they've
uh-huh.
done work with me over a child in New Jersey, and they let him get away. They let him get
Mm.
taken into the system. So I think what they're doing is trying to look like they're helping the community and using the money
Uh-huh.
to funnel something going on. So
Mm.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it. I definitely believe it.
Yeah, so
It's
there's so
always
much.
it
And
it
then
is a
and then
lot.
when I tried to bring the attention to Pastor Monroe's Guilford, he turned around and I sent you the texts. He told me not to no longer bother him with this issue. So he doesn't even want to address the trafficking issue, because I think he feels it will make his God Squad look bad. But
Mm.
I think it's okay. We can talk about it. Corporate espionage and people infiltrating what we do. That's a common thing. It happens to me
Right.
all the time. You
Right.
know, because that they teach us to build businesses, build organizations, but they never teach us about the dangers of getting exploited when you're doing so.
Yes, yes, definitely.
so
You know,
so
I
yeah.
think I think also when I was listening to the mayor speak up on uh, you know, the situation on how much of these other states were busing in a lot of these immigrants to New York City. Um, why is it that you think that he was suing the bus companies instead of hitting head on to the problem? I don't think that something that he the bus companies is just doing their job, um, uh, but I
Well,
find
you
it to be controversial on that. You know.
Well, I kind of do something similar when I do that personally. I draw them to bring me to court. So if I'm in housing court, we're gonna document this. When you understand that you cannot, unless you could absolutely, without a doubt, prove human trafficking, because the law does not cover a preventive approach to human trafficking. It's only reactionary to human trafficking. So you have to find the victims and get them admitted. And this is a mental slavery, so they're not gonna do so easily either,
Mm,
because they're terrified.
right.
So now, and then you got language barriers. So what you do is when you sue the company, the transportation company, you'll be surprised that the transportation company most likely has people who infiltrated to traffic the kids and the immigrants in it. So what you do
Right.
is you bring them to one court until it covers the jurisdiction of Department of Homeland Security and law enforcement. This is the best approach to doing that, and that's what I've done with my personal case. Like one area I have to deal with my landlord, and another area I have to deal with you know CCRB, Civilian Complaint Review Board, in regards to the corrupt cops that infiltrated the police force
Right.
and dared to abuse this badge and disgrace it, because this is all what's causing the divide. We don't trust our protectors now.
Right.
And then what happens is, when it's not in their jurisdiction, taking them to courts for civil court is the best option. Even
Right.
there was an individual that's part of this ring that I outed. What he did was he went to jail for 30 years for murdering a girl and stuffing her in a suitcase. It was on the
Wow.
news from Yonkers. He was the one
Right.
who scouted the MS-13 to me,
Wow.
but they couldn't prove that she was a trafficked victim. So
Right.
they only thing they were able to prosecute him on was the murder. So that's
Right.
what it is. The
Mm,
it's divided, where the law enforcement who does want to do something about it, and the district attorney's office does want to do something about it, and if Mayor Adams is trying to do something about it, this is his limitations. He's working with what his limitations are, and this is where us, the people, can help untie his hands. I've been
right.
pushing for Congress to put systemic trafficking as the defining factor of force in human trafficking under United States Code 18, Section 1584. because
Okay.
then that will allow it to cover their jurisdiction and they won't have to sue because it won't be civil matters that they will have to catch them on. They will be able to say, hey, we noticed through this pattern of this busing, what you're doing, there's
Right.
something questionable. So now we could come in and prevent human trafficking, not
Yeah.
wait for a traffic victim to come out and say they were trafficked. And
Right.
that's why you see what's happening. I feel like I
Right.
said, I didn't get a chance to have a face-to-face meeting with him and discuss this stuff and understand where he's coming from. I'm just being blocked by his gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers definitely has a lot of those too. Definitely.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? All of this stuff and all this red tape that we gotta go through in order for us voices to be heard, and you know the U.S. citizen to be heard. It's just a lot of like I said, there's a lot of red tape when it comes down to these type of things, and at the end of the day, you don't even know who is really involved in a lot of these things. You got to look at everybody like a suspect. So
Yeah.
because we just don't know. We just can't say, okay, I'm going to trust this person, and that's the first person that you think you trusting is the first one to kind of screw you. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that. Um, what can we do more to bring more of this awareness and talk about more of this, because I feel like it's just gonna get worse and worse on this topic, and we already,
Report.
yeah,
We
report.
have to report it. We even the civil stuff. That's why report systemic trafficking. Our workshops will show you how to identify systemic trafficking, so we can report it, have it well documented, so that this way, once it's documented, they're able to create a solution to address it. But if people ain't speaking up and they don't know how to speak up too, then
Right.
people don't understand what to correlate. What's good is Department of Homeland Security has adopted systemic trafficking as part of their tools. They can't use it to go in and extract victims yet, but they're able to use it to identify the possibility of trafficking in that area
Mm.
through and what the people in that area can do is report into the necessary parties. If you're dealing with um, the corrupt cops who are and I say infiltrators, we're going to start calling them infiltrators. If we deal
Infiltrators.
with infiltrators in the police force, then we know to report to Civilian Complaint Review Board. They're called CCRB. They're
Okay.
and what's good is that they're not run by the NYPD, and they're outside or entity that investigates the NYPD. So, and then they disseminate the information to the appropriate, like let's say they through their investigation they see that other violations happen, they'll also refer you to the appropriate parties to know who to uh, to report to. And
Right.
once that report has been properly made and documented, then you know how to step out and you know what the next steps are to do. And that's, I think, is the biggest problem, is that the people don't understand the language of law enforcement.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
and then through that language barrier we have amongst law enforcement and our legal system, especially due to the fact that there were so many infiltrators that misrepresented it,
Right.
um, we approach it very like biased and not saying,
Right.
you know what, let me just understand what this means.
Right.
Because that's all it is, understanding the steps, the process and everything, which can be confusing, but it's only confusing because you don't know. But once you know, it's very simple. Mhm.
Right. Once you already know the aesthetics of it, and people are able to learn much more about that. Talking about Homeland Security, I mean, the what's his name, Mayorkas. He's been bashed, and he's been he's does not have a good reputation at this point right now. But what do you think that he's doing wrong or he's doing right or anything in that perspective as a Homeland Security? Um, what's his name? Mayorkas. I know just by his last name, and
You,
he runs.
you're talking about the new director, the head of
Yes,
Homeland Security.
yes,
Well,
yes.
I have to take my time to get to know. I'm taking my time to get to know and observe because, um, for years they were like, "Bitch, that's not in our jurisdiction."
No, it's not. Click.
I
Oh
know
my
this is
goodness.
how do I help them? so so I'm getting to
You get to
I'm
know
getting
that to know that person and to see. Well, I would
I'm
definitely suggest
observing.
to really look up more because he's been in court very frequently lately, and he's being accused of course of trafficking and
I wouldn't
working
be
with the cartels.
surprised if that's the
Yeah,
case. Or has he, you see, this is where we got to start asking questions when the accusations come up, because,
right,
and this is where you're a journalist and, you know, you do these things as a woman who's into, reporting information. You have to find the information. Now, the biggest part about finding information is what did he do that would I would look back at the work has he done. Did he was he part of the trafficking task force? Did he create what big changes were happening? Because also look at what's happening to Trump, because Trump brought out trafficking as a thing, which is what is unpopular. A lot of people are attacking him because of this. He
right,
made it aware.
yes, yep,
And then he was the one who actually implemented a lot of trafficking solutions with the trafficking task force and
right,
Department of Homeland Security. So, and then he has all those contacts and the knowledge of all the people.
right,
So I don't
definitely,
think it's, you know, a coincidence that they're attacking him the way they are. And, you
exactly.
know, and New Yorkers, we're rough around the neck. We say some shit. I tell you to suck my dick and I don't even got a dick.
Oh my God,
Come on.
Wilhelmina. I know. Oh my God. Maybe I should have told you not to curse.
You can bleep that. Bleep that.
I
I'll
don't
send you
know,
a meme
Kenny,
for that
if we
one.
could. But
You can put
we'll find a way.
a giant eggplant.
The big eggplant. Oh my God.
But
Wilhelmina,
you see,
you are too much
New Yorkers
sometimes, girl.
New Yorkers, our culture is so different because it's just a rough city,
It is a rough
and you
city.
and we outlet through cursing, and we outlet through being raw and talking, and that's why people love us too. And do you know, everybody I talk to outside of New York does not know what's really happening in New York.
You
The
see?
news doesn't cover what's going on over here.
It doesn't. No. Let me tell you,
No.
if you want to find out something of what's really happening in America, don't listen to the
Hmm.
American news. I listen to the international news. I learned that when you listen to the other news, like in Australia, like in other countries, they talk really bad about the Americans, man, and
Yes.
it's really bad. The reputation, the kind of reputation that we're developing out here, whether you're Chinese or you're Russian or you're German or, what other ever country you're coming from, there's always gonna be, somebody talking about what's happening here in America, and
Yes.
I started to listen to other international news and definitely totally different to what we're listening to here in America. So there is, like I said before, there is an agenda, and they definitely put out a narrative out there for
Yes.
us to go by, and when you follow that, you're just gonna get lost in the source, and you really gotta find the truth if you want to become a truth seeker,
Yes.
what's really happening, why is it that we're being told this and somewhere else is being said something differently, so what's the gap there, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
definitely there's something that I encourage other people to look into what other news are saying about
And
us. Go ahead.
And local podcasts like yours and stuff. My friend Stephen Phillips has one in Las Vegas where he covers what's going on with them weaponizing the system to drive families that are doing elderly the elderly benefits.
Yes.
And and then they're stealing their money when they get older, and then if the family member is trying to protect that and their
Yeah.
assets, they target the family member. So there's a lot of local people who are trying to tell their story too. And also, if people want better candidates, go on Instagram and social media. That's our liberating tool for new types of politicians. Let's vote for humanitarians, and let's put our innovators, the artists, the weird, quirky people
Yeah.
into these seats, because they're the ones who have the foresight to see beyond things to
Right.
change things. So, there's solutions. We just have to think differently. Someone told me when I first started hula hooping, think in circles. And I was like, huh? and then I started, how do I, and then now that's exactly how I think. When people
Circles.
block me and do stuff, I think, how do I get around this, over through it and everything? I think in
Right?
circles and stuff.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. It is. And that's a good way of, concept of thinking that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely I really truly feel that you know, we also have to look into our youth. I'm so concerned for our youth as well.
Provide
They
them
are
better.
the yeah, we have to do better by them because
Yeah.
we've been here longer, right? We're the ones that are supposed to be the teachers. We're supposed to be the guides for the youth, and I feel like this generation is totally different to when I was that age. I mean, I could be ruthless, but in my younger years, I was, out there. But nothing compared to what I see now with this generation. And I feel like there needs to be much more guidance. There needs to be
Yeah.
much more adults stepping into the room and really, bringing the youth in and really making them focus more,
Yeah.
and positivity, instead of so much negativity that is across the world and even in their own backyards. Um, we need more of that. We need more
Yeah.
teachers. We need more guidance. We need more structure for the youth,
And the
because
community needs to provide that, because if we
yes,
sit around and wait for our leaders to do it, they're fucking up right now. So
exactly,
think of our
yeah.
leaders as the toxic parents we gotta shake off.
Yeah, yeah,
And
definitely. Because you know what? At the end of the day, Wilhelmina, this generation 20 years from now is going to be taking care of us.
yeah.
Okay. And what is it that we're teaching them? What
And
is
the
it that
mental
we're,
health is so, I'm sorry, but I want to touch on this. This is very important.
yeah,
Even the bullying with the mental health is so bad that our youth is picking up guns and doing mass shootings because of
that's
it.
right.
And they're
Yep.
killing the people that are bullying them, but they don't want to talk on that because now children died. So
Yeah.
we're going to politicize it about the fact that, oh, these innocent, they weren't innocent. They
Right.
were they were monsters to that poor child, and then he or she picked up the gun and did what they felt was the only thing they can do because of politics and bureaucratic bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
No one was there for them. And this is
Exactly.
what we got to take responsibility. We create the monsters that we're afraid of through how
We
we
definitely do.
mistreat each other.
Yes, we
Mhm.
definitely do. We definitely do. And that's why I am so adamant about when it comes down to the youth and teaching these children because
Yeah.
they're our future, man. They're our future, definitely. You know, um, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, last one. What do you think of what he's been doing? Have you been aware of what's going on over there in Texas?
We
On how he took over the border and he was able to put in these barbed wires and have stopped these immigrants coming into the country. And Joe Biden had taken over and said, well, no, that's not going to happen. They wanted to keep the border patrols there. But the border patrols, a lot of them, not all, let's not put everybody in the same category, but there are some bad ones. They took him out and he put in his own military at the border right now. So they're trying to cut that down and say no. The administration right
well,
now they're wanting to put back into the border patrol control, and they're trying to tell the governor that no, he can't do that when he has rights to do that.
you see, there's and that's one of the biggest divides we're seeing in our country.
Right.
Because I've even had to tell cops, like, you're forcing me to take matters in my own hands because you can't do nothing to help me because
Mm,
you have to wait for the crime to be committed.
right.
And so he's doing what he thinks he can, And I think I commend the fact that he's even trying to take an action and a solution. Now the trouble, the my only concern is when we take actions and we create solutions, when does it become this is necessary, and then when this is something an opportunity to politicize and then oppress.
Right.
So there's that precarious balance of that too. Because now if he starts setting that example, I see the fear of everybody when it comes to this with people stepping up uh, and doing their own thing. Because when you set that example, then you have the bad ones who
Mm-hmm.
aren't afraid to do those things, hurt people, and use that
Right.
same method just to hurt people.
Right.
Yeah, it's a we need to come up with a united solution. And I do agree with closing with the borders. We
Yes.
have to, we have to. I'm not saying don't allow people in, just have them come in through a strong vetting system where we make sure they're safe, we make
Right.
sure they're not trafficked, we make sure they
Right.
don't get lost in the system here,
Right.
and then we also make sure that they're not exploited, we make sure that they're not targeted for racism and hate.
Right.
There's so much protection we got to do if we let anyone in that's different, because the
Right.
truth is America tax people for being different,
Yes, definitely.
you
We
know.
are, you
Hmm.
know. But
So
I
yeah.
I agree with definitely with that statement. We do have to vet more because it's just like telling, people, hey, a stranger to come into your home, and you
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
don't do that.
We don't do that. You lock your doors at night. So it should
Exactly.
be as the same way. Like I said before at the beginning of the show, my parents, they came in through legally. They went and they did their papers. Now let me tell you
Mhm.
something a little bit about the immigration system. Also, from what I heard a lot about these asylum seekers, these they also say that they charge thousands of dollars that they know that they don't have, in order
Yeah,
for them to get their papers, done, or, just to even start their process of coming into the country, which delays them even more and even longer to come into the country, right? So if that's happening as well, we also have to go after the immigration system as who is doing all of this vetting, and why are they charging thousands and thousands of dollars for these immigrants to come into the country, and are you just letting anybody in?
yes.
Because listen, you have people that do want to find a better life in America. They do want to come into the land of opportunity and have a better life for themselves and their children, like my parents did. They came into America because they wanted to have a better life, but they did it in a process where it was legal, and
Yes.
my mother, she wind up, getting her papers, and she came in and flew over in the plane. Sometimes, that doesn't happen because look what's been happening now, you know.
Yeah.
But this is something that's another corner that we have to look at. That's another area of the process of coming into the country that we have to look at. And why is it that is so expensive for these people to come and file papers? You got these lawyers, you got ACLU, supposed to be on the scene and on board to help these immigrants to get their paperworks, or their documentations together, or help me out here. What I mean, like, what
Well,
is it?
by by neglecting the issue of trafficking, right? It's been an
Mm-hmm.
ongoing issue, and immigration is a easy way of trafficking individuals. Actually, one of the easiest ways to get
Mm-hmm.
people through. People don't
Right.
realize that through human trafficking. So when you neglect the issue of their needs, and like you said, your mother was being targeted at the time, but she was able to leave before it escalated. Not
Right.
everybody's fortunate. Imagine
Right.
your sister was being held at gunpoint at some point. She
Right.
would have been forced to go through the illegal means just to save your sister's life.
Right.
So these things happen. So when you neglect the issue, you create the problem, and then now it's a flood of people who need help because we
Mm-hmm.
neglected it. We need help because we neglected it here and we
Mm-hmm.
neglected it over there. So now
Right.
it's coming and it's spilling over. That's what you
Yeah.
see. A cup that of a problem that was over the years was dripping, dripping, and it got and now it's overflowing, and
It is
and it's out of
overflowing.
control. So
Yes.
what we have to do now is, I think what America needs to do is accept that this problem's here.
Right.
It's real.
Right.
It's happening regardless of how you feel about it, regardless of your political views, who should be here, who shouldn't be here, how they got here
Right.
or anything. It happened. So now
Right.
the next step is, how do we resolve the issue first here,
Right.
and then
Right.
prevent it from s- continuing to spill over. Now we need the mop. That's what we need. We need the mop.
Definitely. We sure do.
We don't need to stop it anymore because it already happened. We need to clean
Right.
up the mess. And doing that is, that's where we got to be careful about, because once again, I'm going to bring it back to that whole hate concept. If we address this from hate, we are going to handle it the same way, and then we're going to have the same problem, and then next, we're warring, because guess what? People aren't going to let you do that shit to them and their children,
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
if that was the reason why they came here, to get away. And that's why they get picked up by gangs. And that's why they get picked up by all these other things, because it becomes, well, I'm not letting that happen. Even kids who are growing up into this become the monsters that to
Right.
protect their own mothers from getting raped on a
Yeah,
regular basis. So
definitely.
the MS-13 that held me hostage had a story of that. He watched his mother get brutalized.
Wow.
So he was created into what he was. And then, you know what? I saw moments where he cared. I saw
Right.
moments where he wanted to be heard about his story, and I saw moments where he appreciated that. And he saw that I genuinely didn't judge him. I think he didn't kill me when he was supposed to kill me, because of the fact that I treated him like a human being and
Right.
recognized his struggle.
Right.
And then I saw it when he was approaching me. He approached me, and I saw it in his face when I said, "You could still help make a difference." And he
Right.
was like, and then he was like this, and he shook it off. This, and
Mm.
there's a programming called Ramcoa. My
Mm.
daughter, she wants to
Mm.
study psychiatry, and
Right.
and she got into this because she has a few friends that are cult survivors. And there's
Right.
a programming, that a psychological damage they do to these people to make them self-destruct on themselves
Right.
or others if they're trying to be helped. Do you know that?
Mm. Wow.
They can, if
No.
it's like a trigger.
Right.
It's a trigger that was put into them through abuse. Like, if you dare, because what they do is they have their own infiltrators, like out here in Staten Island, it's the Justice Center, the Family
Right.
Justice Center has been
Right.
infiltrated. So you
Yes.
go and get help. They tell you, then the trafficker comes and beats the shit out of you to the point that you're so bloodied that if you dare to talk, now that will happen again.
Wow. That's
And
crazy.
that's what's happening. We have to
Yeah.
understand what's really happening. These
Yeah.
people are using pure brute violence, trauma, rape as a tool to keep these people oppressed. And then we're judging their behavior. And then we expect them to be like, come on, speak, we're gonna help you. And they're like, you don't
Right.
want to help me. You want me to behave like you, and I'm not like you.
Exactly.
And I need help. Regardless,
Right.
if I'm pissed off about what happened, if I felt you ignored it and I curse you out, that's my trauma. Don't tell me, oh well, just stay in that shit then.
Yeah. I
I
know that's
pissed you
so
off.
bad. I know it's really bad. But
Yeah,
at least we're bringing some type of awareness to the situation and to this topic on that.
yeah.
Well, Amina, listen, I want to go ahead and let people know where is it that they can find you, and what the again, if you don't mind repeating, what the type of services that you can help and provide.
Okay, so I have a website, sparrowinternational.org. It's also .us, but we're having trouble linking .us to .org. It's the same
Okay.
website. So sparrowinternational.org is our
Okay.
website. Instagram is and Facebook is Sparrow INTL. On the entertainment aspect, if you hire us to go out there and spread the message, and we do a performance piece that fits the feng shui and the cultural setting of your venue and what you
Mhm.
want, and then we supply the fun hula
Right.
hoops, aerial ribbons,
Yes.
and the whole works. And we make it an immersive, interactive comedy and talking on that end. For pro bono, I'm a paralegal, so I offer my paralegal services as an advocate and as also to help you navigate if you're having trouble with like child protective services or navigating the judicial system and you need to know how to do so. We also provide a pro bono service too and help you know and assist you in reporting your circumstances appropriately if it becomes necessary. So this is what we're doing pro bono, and we make money off of the events and
Yes.
hosting events and
Yes.
doing things. So that's how it's like a social corporate responsibility. Hmm.
Yes, yes, definitely. And I will have all of those information that you just given us on the website as well, and our social media platforms, and of course on our YouTube channel. So, and I know that yesterday was your birthday.
Yeah.
It was a yes, happy belated birthday, girl.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. I hope
We did a burlesque party theme, and what we did was we made it an immersive burlesque thing where if you came, I had costumes for you to get in and you could get up and sing with the pianist and just let loose and embrace your sexy, embrace who you are, and just and it was so cute. We had housewives having fun. It was so fun. And the whole point is just for women, because slut shaming does feed human trafficking, and I want women
mm,
to embrace each other's beauty and sexy, and embrace our transformation as we age too, because I deal with it too, so
yeah,
we have these things that makes us vulnerable to being exploited, and it's
yes.
easy to turn on each other if we become hateful towards ourselves and as well as towards, and we project that out to others.
That's
Hmm.
right. No more catty shit, man. You know, we got to support each other. That's why I'm
Yes.
so big into women in business. That's why I'm so big into, bringing out also, part of the domestic violence
Hmm.
awareness as well, which I've been doing for a couple of years now,
Yes.
because I am a domestic violence victim as myself, and I know that part of life.
Yeah.
So I always try to bring positive light into that situation and let women know that they're not alone and there's help out there. And not to be biased, and also men do suffer also with domestic violence as well.
Me too, for
Um,
men too.
yeah, definitely, you know. So,
Uh-huh.
and that's why women empowerment is so important to me in that perspective, But
Yeah.
such as yourself, Wilhelmina, I want to say and say thank you so much. Thank you so much for being at least through the screen. But
Yes,
definitely,
thank you.
I
Go
know.
ahead.
But listen, you was present, and I appreciate you telling your story, and also offering your services to these trafficking victims, which
Yes.
we need to bring more awareness about this because it's just happening so much more often than any time in history. So definitely, I appreciate you being on the show today, and I will definitely have your information on our YouTube channel, and listen, people, this is something that like I said before, it is a topic that is sensitive to a lot of people, but we
Yes.
do have to bring it to our awareness because it could just be your next door neighbor and you won't even know it. So,
Yeah.
we have to let people know how to become vigilant, not to be careless or around their surroundings, and know that this is a real thing that's been happening, whether it's being politicized or however people feel like it's happening. And it's been happening,
Yeah.
and it's just happening much more than often. So, like
Hmm.
again, I said, thank you so much, Wilhelmina, for being on the show today.
Thank
And
you for having me.
oh yeah, definitely. And hopefully we could get together again soon.
Yes.
Definitely, I see you doing great things and always doing positive, fun things, And
Thank you.
let's just get together this spring and summer season. So hopefully we could do something good together.
Yes. Let's do that Unity Rally. I would love to do that with you. Yes. Yeah, and I
Yes.
see you doing the thing, getting those vendors work and getting them places and everything. So thank you for empowering. I started out as a vendor doing my business, so
Yes.
what you're
That was
doing
3 years
is a
ago,
great thing.
Wilhelmina. You know how fast
I
that
know
three it was 3 years ago. My goodness,
we
how
do.
time flies.
Yeah.
I know. But it was great, and I'm glad that I was able to meet you on that day because so much more has happened, and looking
Yeah.
forward to the future just to work with you again in the near future.
Thank you. And you've always been a great supporter. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Wilhelmina. And for everybody that's been listening, I think we passed our time because this is a topic definitely that it is, can be long, because there's
Yeah.
so much in detailed with that. So I want to thank our viewers here on Marcy Photography on Instagram. If you can't catch the live, catch the replay and subscribe to our YouTube channel and listen to the rest of this great interview with Wilhelmina Sparrow. Thank you, my love. I will talk to you very, very soon. Okay. And enjoy the rest of your birthday weekend, girl.
I will. I got me a buzz ball. Yay!
Oh my God. Wilhelmina's a character, I tell you, but she has a good heart and she means well for the community,
Thank
definitely.
you.
I appreciate you,
Uh,
girl. I'll talk to you
Thank you.
soon. All
Talk to you
righty.
soon. All right.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Oh, that was great. Thank you guys for watching. Let your voices be heard again. Uh, watch the replay on our YouTube channel, which I will be putting up the link, and also Wilhelmina's information as well. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you, everyone. Any questions, any concerns that you may have about this topic, please reach out to me, or you could always reach out to Wilhelmina Sparrow, which I'll have her information as well. So until the next time, peace. All right.